Welcome back. We're following breaking news. There are reports that Israel and Iran are trading more strikes this morning. Joining us now is CEO of Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Mark Dubowitz. Mark, thank you for joining us this morning. Our latest information, which has come straight from the IDF, is that they've struck Iran this morning. What's your reaction?
Yeah, it's clear that the Israeli Air Force dominates the skies. I mean, they're being very precise in targeting only military and security and nuclear infrastructure, also going after certain national assets of the regime. And of course, in return, the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, has sent an order to deliberately target Israeli civilians. And you've seen a number of Israeli civilians killed, hundreds injured in Israel overnight.
Yeah, when we look at the response from Iran, this latest round, I believe the last number I saw, and I may be wrong here, was around 70 missiles plus the drones. And the comment from Israel was that it's a little bit less than what they expected, what they had war gamed. Do you take anything from that if they do have thousands of those missiles?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Israeli Air Force has been very effective in hunting down these missile launchers and going after surface-to-surface and surface-to-air missiles. But it's true, the Islamic Republic of Iran has a massive inventory. They started the war with over 2,000 ballistic missiles and hundreds of cruise missiles and thousands of drones. So they certainly have an inventory of destruction and death. But the Israeli Air Force, again, has been very successful in taking out and starting to really severely degrade that capability.
On the left side of the screen here, we have a neighborhood that was hit overnight, and it looks like it was hit pretty substantially. We have Alex Hogan on earlier, and she said that really it was much worse than people in that area felt like could happen. Is there any reason for the people of Israel to worry about the effectiveness of the Iron Dome right now?
Yeah, so I mean, Israel's got a three-tiered air defense system. It's the Arrow air defense system right now that is being used to knock down these ballistic missiles. Yeah. But Iran is using ballistic and hypersonic missiles. So certainly a number of them are going to get through, but many of them are being shot down not only by Israeli pilots, blocked by the air defense system, but certainly U.S. pilots are up in the sky assisting our Israeli ally with defending themselves from this attack.
You brought up something that's a little bit nuanced, but has been a part of the military conversation for a while. You said that Iran is using hypersonic missiles. I presume you mean hypersonic guided missiles, which is something the U.S. has struggled to get online. Where did those come from if Iran has those?
Yeah, it's not clear if they're hypersonic guided. It's not clear what exactly they've got, but it's clear that they've got something, and it's technology that has been provided to them by China, Russia, North Korea. There's an axis of aggressors. Iran is a key member of this axis of aggressors, and they work very closely with Beijing, with Moscow, and Pyongyang.
Where do you see this going from here? If Israel just struck back, Iran's response, it seems, in numbers of missiles isn't as high as they expected, yet Israel took a big blow to a completely civilian populace. Now Israel targets oil and fuel facilities, not just nuclear facilities. Where does this escalate to?
Well, Israel's going to continue hunting down the military and security officials, the infrastructure, going after nuclear sites. But they've also made it very clear that if Khamenei continues to target their civilians and try to intentionally murder, Israeli women and children, they're going to go after Khamenei himself. So he has to be very careful. The Israelis have deeply penetrated his security establishment. They're running Mossad operatives and Iranian agents all through the system. And so he is deeply penetrated. At a time of their choosing, the Israelis may decide to take him out.
In a perfect world, I say this because I don't want the world to end World War III. In a perfect world, this stays a conflict between Israel and Iran. But Iran has said, as recently as a few days ago, that U.S. targets and U.S. troops are on their target list. President Trump said this to Iran. He said the U.S. had nothing to do with the attack on Iran tonight. If we are attacked in any way, shape, or form by Iran, the full strength and might of the U.S. armed forces will come down on you at levels never seen before. However, we can easily get a deal done between Iran and Israel and end this bloody conflict. I feel like the words of Donald Trump have more gravity than perhaps our previous president, considering President Trump's first term in actions. What do you think? Do you think that something like this from President Trump could throttle Iran's response to maybe what Israel did in the last few hours?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, during his first administration, when the Iranians did not take his warning seriously and they killed an American contractor. He killed Qasem Soleimani, Iran's most hardened and deadly battlefield commander, the head of the IRGC Quds Force. So, yeah, Khamenei would be making a tragic and potentially regime-ending decision if he harmed Americans. I think the Iranians have been rejecting multiple offers by President Trump to come to the negotiating table and agree to peacefully, fully dismantle their nuclear program. If they don't take him up on this offer, I think they're going to find that their entire nuclear program will be destroyed, and perhaps Khamenei will lose his regime.
You know, we're just getting a report across the wire. It says Israel has targeted Iran's Houthi chief of staff overnight. That's another military official to add to a growing list of military officials. It seems that Israel's attacks are still very strategic and very well informed. Do you feel like that where we are now may just be a part of the plan for Israel?
Look, the Houthis have been firing ballistic missiles at Israel for months, and it's very clear from the Israelis that they're going to take out anybody that tries to murder their civilians. So the Houthi leadership, I think I heard reports that they were all meeting in a bunker and that the Israeli Air Force took them out. It's clear from the past year and a half of war, the Israelis will take leadership out from Hezbollah, from Hamas, from the Houthis, and from the Revolutionary Guards themselves. So no one is safe from the Israeli Air Force and from the Mossad. But again, I think Khamenei's got to make a decision. Come back to the table peacefully, dismantle your program. Otherwise, the Israelis and the Americans could really end his regime.
When we hear that a Houthi chief is taken out, obviously that's, I presume, in another country. I'm not sure. We don't have the information on that yet. What does that say for involvement, not just from proxies, but other countries? One of the gas facilities, I believe, is co-owned by Qatar. Is President Trump's best action so far maybe just to keep the other countries from being too boisterous or getting involved in it?
Yeah, so they took out the Houthi leadership in Yemen, and it's clear that Iran is getting support from Qatar, from China, Russia, North Korea. Very clear that President Trump wants to keep all of these countries out of the fight, wants to bring this to some kind of resolution and get back to the negotiating table. But again, you know, the Islamic Republic of Iran threatens the United States. They've been building intercontinental ballistic missiles. Those are only set to deliver nuclear warheads, and that our homeland is their target. So the Israelis are doing us a great service by preventing Iran from developing nuclear-tipped missiles, as well as hunting down terrorist leaders with much American blood on their hands.
You know, you talk about hunting down terrorist leaders. We have another report come through. Israel has said that they have a large list of targets in Iran still to hit. And what I want to take from that is how Israel has been so effective, maybe the Mossad, I'm not sure, maybe double agents, at getting into Iran and getting to specific individuals. And what we're reading is they've targeted all the way down to someone's apartment. And I guess my question here is, do you think that this is all part of the plan for Israel and they've got a long way to go? They've said this is weeks, not days, but Iran is also striking back.
Look, Israel's got a long way to go. They certainly have deeply penetrated the Iranian security establishment. And the reason for that is that millions of Iranians despise this regime. I mean, there are estimates about 70 to 80% of Iranians oppose this regime. So there's a large pool of Iranians that Mossad can recruit from. They have Iranian agents operating, Mossad operatives on the ground. And they are systematically, precisely targeting these terror leaders in order to take them out. I don't see the Israelis stopping until they've actually done what they need to do. They need to defend their country. They need to reduce this threat. And unless Khamenei decides to take President Trump up on his offer and return back to negotiations, I think this is going to continue, if not for days, probably weeks.
Mark, one last question. We talked about these hypersonic missiles that they may have, Iran may have, that were provided by China or Russia, maybe even North Korea. Where do you think we are right now today with those adversaries of ours supporting Iran in this or sitting it out?
Well, I think they're worried right now because they're seeing this key pillar of their axis of aggressors take a beating from Israel. I mean, Israel's a tiny country of 10 million people. It's the size of New Jersey. They got a small air force. They got a small intelligence community, and yet they're doing severe damage to a country of 90 million people that has been supported by China, Russia, and North Korea. So I think leaders in those capitals are worried as they see one of their closest allies being systematically dismantled by the Israeli Air Force and the Israeli intelligence community. This is good for the United States. It sends a message of American power and resolve across the region, and I think this is good for our security interests around the globe, that we've got an ally willing to fight and die in our defense against a common enemy.
Martin, thank you so much for joining us, bringing your expertise. So many more questions, so much